We decided to do this on the Musician Method channel. The Musician Method is an online community of musicians that I founded recently because I wanted to help musicians to define their career goals and then be able to generate more income from doing that. And the way to do that, I feel, is to learn how to position yourself as a business owner. So the main things that we're covering today are online teaching, how to do it, group lessons and individual lessons, and also online performing. Fortunately, Simon has got experience of doing both.
Yeah.
So, now, and we're not complete experts, but hopefully, I've seen what I see continuously on my Facebook feed at the moment is people that are wondering, they're having to pivot to online teaching, and I keep saying, what mics should I use? How am I going to deal with the lag in time? How am I going to deal with the delay? Now, so the first sort of group of queries that I wanted to deal with was to do with online teaching, and I wanted to deal with that in two strands really, individual lessons and group lessons, but there are some basic things that you need in order to make both of them work, obviously. So when we had a chat about, what specific equipment do you need to actually set all this stuff up, we were talking firstly, I think, about lots of people have been using Zoom, but there's also been a lot of discussion online about how Zoom doesn't really work very well for people that are trying to perform together or they're trying to teach. And you were saying that actually what's worked for you has been using just things like FaceTime and WhatsApp as well.
Well, I found that using Zoom, I've given a couple of lessons on Zoom, cello and singing lessons, and I found that for some reason the sound frequency isn't good enough. It's not as good as FaceTime or WhatsApp video. So yeah, it's very frustrating. So I've given up on it, and most students all have FaceTime on their phones or WhatsApp video. So it's a simpler interface because then you don't have this slightly stressful beginning, sending people emails and join my Zoom meeting and everything. It's just the two of you. The disadvantage of WhatsApp and FaceTime, I haven't worked out how to record the lesson, which is quite useful. And especially because we're in a situation where if you teach in an institution, I teach at a university where we actually teach the group lessons on a university webinar platform. I have no idea how it works. It seems to work well. It's very easy to record, and you can do that with Zoom, but you can't yet. Or maybe someone knows, this is for you to share your expertise. How to do that, that would be really good to share. And the other thing that I found useful, because we've got this problem with sound quality, we have internet or someone's playing and then they go, and it's really hard to sort of, you have to kind of use a little bit of imagination. He said, that was very good. It went very fast suddenly. But actually, what I found is if you would get the student to pre-record, either film themselves and send you a WhatsApp video, or WeTransfer is a really, really useful thing, or even share a Dropbox folder with that particular student so that they can just upload stuff to the Dropbox and you can have a look. And then it's a bit of extra work because you have to watch it in advance of your lesson. So it's whether you think, am I going to give an extra 20 minutes of my valuable gin and tonic time to listen to this student, and then you use the lesson to go over the recording that they sent you and go over little bits.
But you're not commuting.
Well, that's the thing. So you're not doing an hour's commute or whatever it would be to get to the lesson. So you can think of it as your commuting time is the listening time to that MP3.
Yeah, exactly.
Should we look at Andrew's question?
Yeah, I'd love to.
So Andrew Pierce, what are your thoughts on the best platforms to use for online video teaching? He's using Google Meets, but the picture and sound quality is quite poor, and he's no access to a specialist camera or mics just at the moment. So, great. Well, hi Andy from across the road, if that's who I'm thinking it is. It is Andy from across the road, isn't it? I didn't know his surname.
So I think, I use Google Meets for just general conference call stuff. Unless the other person's requested Zoom, I use that quite a lot, but I've never used it for for anything online to do with teaching. You do the teaching, and so I don't know about that, but yeah, I'm sure you're absolutely right that it's not great quality. But I suppose one of the considerations I'd be thinking about as well is, are you using it on your laptop rather than your phone? Is there any way that you could try using a different device, perhaps?
And you can always blame it on the student that their internet is terrible. Another good one for groups is, it's called Jitsi Meet. I'll write it in the comment.
Right.
JITSI.
It's a bit like Zoom, isn't it, in that you can see a number of different people on the screen. There's a new platform called Mawall, but it's that is a specific site for actually being able to host your. You can create your own teaching website, and everything gets kept within the within your own domain name. And they do charge. They take a percentage of your revenue, but it doesn't seem to be as high as some of these other teaching sites that do revenue-based fee. So Mawall, that's spelled Maawol. I can't vouch for that because we literally just had a look at the website today, but that could be a good option if you're looking for a dedicated platform for your students. And the other one is EVocale, but I don't know that that's the same kind of thing. I think it's more.
It's what he does, and I'll find the link. I can't find it just now. With my sister phoning me from the desert in California and trying to find this Mawall. I found it now, but it's an online thing for students, mainly for singers, but also EVocale. EVocale is going to be for instrumentalists, pianists accompanying with a conductor in the corner of the screen.
I understand. Okay. So we've covered is we were talking about the very basic things that you need to get started. The internet connection, I don't really have too much to say about that. I mean, it's a problem for everyone. I suppose one solution could be that, I don't even know if we have one of these in the house, but if you are having problems with an internet connection over Wi-Fi, if anyone still has Ethernet cables, that could be something to help. That's not something that I've really looked into. I mean, I suppose the internet connection's a bit of a given. So we've talked about Zoom already. The only other thing I was going to talk really was although the sound quality isn't great, if you were wanting to just do something like send a backing track or whatever, you could do that over Zoom. That could be another solution to doing the one-to-one teaching. If you wanted to record a piano part to send to your student and then have them send a recording, like Simon was saying, of their practice or of their singing or playing or whatever, and you listen to it beforehand. You do have the capability to do screen sharing in Zoom as well. So, because sometimes it might be, I don't know, if people are doing music theory lessons or whatever, Zoom can be an option for something like that. Now, in terms of the group teaching, that's something that Simon's been doing recently with his university class. And do you want to just talk a bit about the sort of the planning aspect of thinking, how are you going to make this work?
I mean, I'm seeing all these really great people who've joined this, and I know that you're all in the same boat, so you probably have as much insight as I do, but just some experience I've had is doing these 2-hour opera class lectures, which normally would have been a performance class, so they get up, sing something, I say, and then they go away, and the next person comes up, and then it's 2 hours, and we all go home. But you can't really do that on Zoom webinar style, which is where I got this sort of, where we managed to do this. They send in a recording in advance, and then the whole class listens to it at the same time, and then we back to talk about it. And the student, if they can, we do a little bit there live, but they've done their performance already and recorded it. And what I've found really hard, a little bit like this actually, is that you talk and you don't get the room, you don't get the feel of the room. So you know, you could all be like the to us right now. Don't know.
Probably are.
They probably are. So it's really, so that's what I found hard with the group teaching, is that you don't get the sort of the nodding and the and the smiles.
I think it's almost worse than this kind of situation, because at least you can't see anyone. But if you're seeing people in a delay, or it's sort of awkward sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, so a way to combat that in a way is just have a little bit more planning in terms of what the discussion is going to be, and to ask individual, you see who's on the thing, and ask them, I mean, this is elementary, I'm sure, to people watching this video, but, you know, ask them a couple of really direct questions